Hey folks, welcome to Module 2. In this module, our expert will cover acquiring tools and assets. So get ready to take some notes and let's jump right in.
So in the last lesson, we covered acquiring skills or identifying skills that you already have that can be useful for freelance services. All you need now is tools, assets, and resources to actually start delivering those services. That's what we're going to cover right now, and we're going to start with what is probably the biggest collection of tools that there is. And I'd say it's also the most popular one out there. It's Adobe Creative Cloud. Now, Adobe used to be a collection of different software tools that you would have to buy separately, and they were pretty expensive. Recently, they created something called CC, or Creative Cloud, which actually bundles everything together at a very surprisingly affordable rate. It includes everything you could possibly need for creative freelancing. For video stuff, you've got several tools here. You've got Adobe Premiere Pro, which is your basic editor that does most of what most people need. After Effects for creating cool visual and special effects and motion graphics. You've got Adobe Audition for audio. You've got Adobe Spark, Character Animator, Premiere Rush. A lot of these are very specialized tools. You get access to all of them with Adobe CC. Next, in the graphics design area, we've got Photoshop, which is probably the most basic. It's the staple of graphics design. You've got Adobe Illustrator, Adobe InDesign, as well as a whole bunch of other very specialized tools. We've got some more stuff for photo here, including Lightroom. We've got some tools for creating or designing web pages, as well as user interfaces for apps and softwares, that sort of thing. And that's covered by Adobe XD, Dreamweaver, and Adobe Spark. And finally, there's some additional resources such as Adobe Stock Photos, Adobe Fonts, Adobe Portfolio, and Behance are great for showcasing and showing your potential clients the type of work that you've done. All of this is gathered together in one collection, which is pretty affordable. Let's go to Choose a Plan. And you can either choose a single app for $20 a month, or, this seems to make a little bit more sense, choose all of the apps for just $50 a month. You've also got the option of tacking on Adobe Stock so that you have a resource of stock photos and stock footage to tap into as well. Next one to talk about is Powtoon. Now, Powtoon is great for creating basic animated explainer videos. As you can see here, we've got some demos of the various effects you can add. If it's mostly text-based, or if it's an actual all-out animated cartoon video with characters and stuff, you can do most of that stuff here inside of Powtoon. It's also pretty handy as a tool for creating presentations as an alternative to Microsoft PowerPoint. And it's not super expensive either when you consider it's not terribly expensive either when you consider what's included. Pricing ranges from $16 a month to $99 a month, and you can do a whole lot with it. There's also a free trial that you can utilize to see if it's actually something that you'd want to use, and I'd encourage you to do so if you're thinking of offering explainer videos or presentations as part of your suite of freelance offerings. And along the same lines, there's Vyond, which used to be called Go Animate. This is a bit of a more complex piece of animated video software. You can do more special things. You can really get in depth. You can make the characters' lips move. You can actually make the characters go through various sequences of animations on page and move their arms and stuff, which isn't actually possible with Powtoon. Powtoon, basically, you have specific animations that repeat themselves over and over and over again. But if you're trying to get really in depth and you want to create complex cartoons, this one, Go Animate, now called Vyond, is probably your best bet. However, you want to make sure that there's really a demand for that it's actually something you're going to be utilizing before you invest, because it is a little bit more expensive. Premium at $89 a month and $159 per month for professional. Now, another tool to talk about really quickly would be myecovermaker.com, or many of the tools that are out there that are just like it. If you're trying to get into graphics, marketing graphics, but you don't want to get into having to learn Photoshop and InDesign and all of that good stuff, this is a pretty easy to use software. It's only $14 per month, and it's very popular, or useful, I should say, in a niche that is exploding, and that is self-publishing authors. Self-publishing authors are constantly going on sites like Fiverr.com or Upwork, seeing if anybody can create a good-looking book cover for them. Also, marketers with digital products who like to create tangible-looking images, mock-ups of their product, so DVD cases, CD cases, ebooks, that kind of stuff. You've probably seen it a million times. This would be a neat, easy to use, and pretty quick to use tool to have in your arsenal, and like I said, it's dirt cheap, just $14 a month. Now let's move on to something like social media management or social media marketing. If you want to offer that service to clients, and every business needs that service, Hootsuite is probably the coolest tool out there for social media managing. You can send multiple posts to multiple different social networks and social platforms. You can post to Facebook and Twitter, post to Instagram, all from one location. You can schedule them, you can manage it all, and you can see all of the metrics about how people are engaging with your posts and so on and so forth. And you can also use it to curate interesting content to share, to add to your social media content. Arguably the most no-brainer tool out there for social media marketing and social media managing. The business side of things, if you're getting really big and you've got a whole lot of social profiles to run, can get pretty expensive. But if you're just starting out and you're offering freelance services to one or two clients, you can actually get this at a pretty affordable rate. There are competitors. There are other services out there that do basically what Hootsuite does, so you can research those and compare pricing, but you're going to need something like this at least if you're going to be offering social media management services. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is resources. We're going to be leaning heavily on Envato here. Now, if you remember, Envato had a tutorials e-campus where you could learn about how to offer all sorts of freelance services and how to do graphics design and stuff. But what they started out as was an actual marketplace for creative products. So you can come here to Envato and click on audio, and all of these are sub-sites, sub-marketplaces. In this case, this is called Audio Jungle. And Audio Jungle includes it's an enormous library of sound effects, background music, logo intro, music and music tracks, those really epic ones that you hear in sales videos sometimes. They've got all sorts of genres here. And a good background music track can really, really make a sales video happen, can really, play on people's emotions and make the delivery of a message much more effective. So it's definitely worthwhile going through, especially if you're making sales videos or doing anything with audio, going through the library here and seeing if there's anything that you could make use of. Next, we've got their next site is videohive.net, and this is just an incredible library of stock video footage. Now, there is some pricey stuff here where you'll pay roughly what you would expect to pay from most video footage sites or stock photo sites that also carry video. So you'll see some things in the $100+ range, but most of them are under $100. In fact, the vast majority are under $50. You can even get some basic stuff for $10 or $20, okay? And this is great for adding a little bit of flair to your sales videos. If you don't want it to be just all text, or you don't want it to just be all talking head, you can throw stock footage that has to do with what you're creating on there. And if you have a portfolio of videos that include stock footage like this with cool background music like we just saw on Audio Jungle, and that's in your portfolio and you're going to show that to potential video clients, just by having these types of things in your video, you're going to make yourself much more attractive as a video producer or a video freelancer. Then on the graphics side of things, we've got what's called Graphic River, which is Envato's graphics sub-marketplace. And in this case, you've got a ton of stuff. You've got things for setting up a PowerPoint presentation. You've got the little icons that you see on websites or in mobile apps sometimes, usually bundled together. You've got illustrations. You've got things that you can use as templates for brochures, for book covers. You've got all sorts of really, really great stuff here. If you want basic graphics for web design, to make your website look cooler, come here, spend some time shopping around, and you'll find plenty of stuff. And as you can see, it's very, very affordable compared to most sites, with most things seeming to range from $5 to $20. Very, very affordable, very useful. The next thing would be photodune.net, which is their stock photo library. And same story here. Ton of great photos to use here for videos, for websites, for e-covers, for blog posts, for social media, all sorts of great stuff here. And these are really high quality. It's a very, very large library. I will say, if you decided to go all in with Adobe Creative Cloud, or if you have Adobe stock, you can save some money by doing your business over there for photos, because the photos there cost, $1 or $2 based on the monthly fee that you pay and the amount of credits that you're allowed to use. So in the end, you end up paying a lot less. However, if you're not using photos as much and you don't want to pay monthly for Adobe stock, the next best place to come would be here to Photo Dune, because the prices are so low and the quality is pretty darn high. Then you've got software. Now this is called Code Canyon. This is where you'll find apps and scripts and plugins for WordPress, for example. You'll find mobile app templates. You'll find mobile games that you can take and, edit them and adapt them. You can do all sorts of very, very cool stuff here, and you can even reach out in some cases to the actual developers of the apps to see if they'll do some freelance work for you and create something for you. This is very useful if you're creating something for someone but you want a base to start with. So if you want to start with a mobile game, the base of a mobile game, for example, Flappy Bird, I think, was the name of a very popular game way back in the day, and a bunch of other people started wanting to create their own version of Flappy Bird, so they would hire freelancers. Well, as a freelancer, you wouldn't have to create it from scratch. You could come here and grab a base version of that type of a game, and then you could adapt it for that client and give it to that client. Obviously, you want to make sure that you read the license attached to the product and make sure that you're using it in a way that the vendor or creator of the product is okay with. But lots of great resources here in the code, programming, and script department. And finally, let's head over to Theme Forest. Theme Forest is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to find a ton of WordPress themes. You can also find a bunch of other templates. You can find things for e-commerce, CMS themes. You can find templates for websites that are not necessarily on WordPress as well. UI design stuff, CMSs, ton of stuff here to make use of if you're going to be doing some web design or web development. So that's pretty much it for this module. This has just been an overview of all the resources out there, and I wanted to drive home the point that if you have a skill that you've acquired or a skill that you already have and you're ready to use, there are a ton of great tools and resources for you to use to deliver those. Now the question is, where do you offer those skills and how do you get hired? That's what we're going to cover in the next module.